Hello. Before I start talking about sustainability today, I want to give you a brief introduction to Edrington and our owners, the Robertson Trust. Through the 1800s, the Robertson family founded numerous Scotch whisky companies. By the 1960s, the company was owned by the three Robertson sisters, and they didn't have any heirs. They'd fought off a number of takeover bids, and they were determined to secure the future of their family firm, to protect their people, and to continue their legacy of charitable giving. And these sisters really were pioneers in their view that industry and business could be a force for good in society. So they took the decision to bundle all their business interests together, and they formed a company, Edrington, and they created a charitable trust called the Robertson Trust, which is the ownership of Edrington. And since that time, the Trust has donated over £400 million to Scottish charities. So if we turn to Edrington today, Edrington is now an international luxury spirits company. We're headquartered in Queen Street in the city centre. We've got a bottling hall in Drumchapel, 3 distilleries in the north of Scotland, a rum distillery in the Dominican Republic, and then offices across the world. And just to take a look at our brands, in the centre there is our iconic brand, the Macallan. It's the #1 single malt by value in the world. We've also got the Glenrothes, which is another Speyside malt, our Orcadian malt, Highland Park. From the Dominican Republic, we've got Brugal rum, and then we've got interests in a number of other brands as well. So quite often, when I meet people and they say, who do you work for? And you say Edrington, and they look at you blankly, and then you say the Macallan, and they say, and their faces light up. So it's just to put a bit of context, and I think that Robertson Trust context is so important as well, because it really defines how Edrington looks at sustainability and the environment, and taking that longer-term view of how we interact with the world. So if we turn now to sustainability in Edrington, we're a company with a long-standing culture of giving and responsibility and deep, deep connections with the environment. We own a lot of land. We rely on nature for our key supply chain ingredients. But we run energy-hungry processes, and we have energy-hungry supply chains as well. We use our sustainability ambitions and strategy to help us navigate these things. It drives us to mitigate the impact that we have in the environment, and also to look ahead and to adapt via climate readiness and resilience to make sure that we can deal with the challenges that the changing world is bringing. Our sustainability ambitions are led from the top. So our Chief Exec is a champion, a very vocal champion of sustainability within the organisation. On the left-hand side here, you have what we call our strategy sail, and you can see that sustainability is one of our key missions within that. To keep us on track with timelines and measuring our progress, we've signed up to science-based targets in alignment with the Scottish Government for net zero by 2045 and to halve our carbon emissions by 2030. And to demonstrate the progress that we've made over the last few years, we've done CDP submissions for a number of years, and last year we got onto the A list for climate, and we retained our B scores in forestry and water. So at the top line, we publicise both externally and within the organisation, talk a lot about sustainability driven by these key features. Our sustainability strategy is made up of 5 pillars. Sorry, I'm missing a slide here, but I'll just press ahead and you can just use your imagination. So our sustainability strategy is made up of 5 pillars, and those 5 pillars come from the elements of the environment that are most critical to the processes that we run. So we have reduce carbon emissions, sustain wood, protect water, enhance biodiversity, and promote the circular economy. And for all of those 5 pillars, we have ambitions, transition plans, and then a really clear set of ownership from top level all the way through to the day-to-day activities of who needs to be doing what to make sure we deliver those longer-term plans. We also have a lot of focus on compliance. as we call the 3 Rs, the risk, regulation and reporting side of things. Just to make sure that we're looking ahead. We run risk registers for our operational sites and for our supply chains. And we also work closely with our brands teams to make sure that our communications with our consumers are not at risk of any claims of greenwashing and that we're clear in the messaging that we put across. We're a heavily regulated industry, so the regulation and reporting side takes a lot of focus as well. But what I want to do now is I'll not talk through the entire strategy, but I've picked the 2 pillars of decarbonisation and circular economy to start to bring to life the activities that we've done so far and the plans that we have going forward to hit our targets. So if we first of all look at reduced carbon emissions, as I said, we've got the science-based targets, and that's a really, really clear 2030 and 2045 ambition for the organisation. Underneath that, though, we have in-year targets and a transition plan. And that's very important to us because it's too easy with a 2030 target to kick the can down the road and wait, and other business priorities can take the lead. So what we've done is made sure that we've got progress that we need to make every year. As I say, we've got clear owners of that. We understand the risks and the dependencies and the mitigations we need to put in place. And over the last few years, we have had to be a bit more creative with that plan as the world has changed round about us. It's not like we put the plan in once and that's what's going to take us through. Innovation, global events are changing how we look at that. Some of the progress that we've made already. At the Highland Park Distillery, we've put in advanced heat recovery. At the Macallan Distillery, the one on the right there, we have a solar array which gives us 20% of our electricity needs. We also have a biomass plant just across the road that supplies up to 70% of the steam that is needed to run the distillery. So we have made a lot of progress in decarbonising our own operations. At the bottom there, that picture refers to the wood that we're going to be using in a biomass plant that we're building in the Dominican Republic. So that's the next big investment for us, running our own biomass plant to power the distillery in the Dominican Republic. Looking further ahead, there are really 3 key factors for us to hit the 2030 and 2045 ambitions. And we're sort of tracking these and getting closer and closer to what a solid plan might look like to deliver. But the variables here we've got are the grid connections and supply. In the north of Scotland, of course, that is a challenge, and we could not power our distilleries with electricity at the moment. On top of that, then there's what technology and innovation we would use once we have those electric supplies. And of course, last but certainly not least, the investment that would be required to make that happen. So within carbon emissions, we made a lot of progress, a good bit of clarity on what we need to do, and the focus in the coming years will just be to firm up that plan so we understand how we will deliver the next steps. If I turn now to promote circular economy, all the way through our supply chain, from distillation through to packaging, we use a lot of materials and we create a lot of waste. We focus on various stages in that supply chain to address the challenges and find some quite creative solutions to them. First one to talk about is our distillation co-products. So pot ale and draff are co-products of that process. And at the moment, they are taken to a power plant in Rothes, where they're converted into electricity that powers the local villages. In the north, in Orkney and in the Dominican Republic, those co-products are turned into animal feed and biofertilizer. So every element of co-product from distillation is used for a greater good, which has been in place for a couple of years now. The next area is round about packaging and the decisions we make when we're developing new products. I think in years gone by, we had an approach of sort of casually asking people to consider sustainability and what they did. And what we've done in the last year is we've pulled together a much tighter process. We call it the Path to Positive Packaging. And it insists that sustainability is a key element of our decision-making process right at the start of a new product development. And there are a number of key stages along the way where it will be challenged if we're not selecting a sustainable option. And the last one to talk about is just general waste throughout our process, especially in bottling hall. And it's really about involving the teams and challenging the teams on the ground to say how could we reduce the amount of waste that we create and how could we deal with it more responsibly and compliantly. And we had a wonderful solution recently with some of their bottling hall colleagues who, because they're physically dealing with the materials that have been thrown away, they were the ones that could actually had a sense of the opportunity we had. And we've organised rebates for companies that can reuse these materials. So we've got a massive financial benefit going into the bottling hall, some of which has been invested back into the site at Great Western Road. And also our materials are being repurposed and reused. So quite different solutions for the circular economy challenge along our supply chain, but making good progress there. So all in all, I would say, across all 5 pillars, never mind these 2, we've made really good progress, but we've still got a long way to go, and we still don't have all the answers. And, you know, the challenges keep coming. The industry challenges, infrastructure challenges, and global challenges as well. And many people have touched on these already this morning. So looking ahead, our feeling is that this strategy is working for us. We still need to be creative and sometimes put meat in the bones of what's going to get us to the longer term targets. But those 5 pillars and that focus on compliance remains really, really valuable to us. A couple of things just to call out that have helped us along the way. Transition plans have been really important. Setting far-term targets just didn't engage people. What can I do about that? How can I impact that? Putting transition plans in place with much smaller actions and having people own them really made a difference for us. And for that to be put into people's objectives so they're recognised and rewarded for the work that they do. Pushy pragmatism has been important. So we have to understand that the business has changed. The whisky industry has changed over the last few years. And for us to be naive of what's happening in the industry would mean that our voice wasn't heard. But the same token, it's not for us in sustainability to just take a big step back and say, let's wait till things pick up again. So it's about being pushy, but within the context, understanding the context of the business. I think fixed flex is sort of similar as well. It's understanding what are the things that absolutely have to happen and what are the things that you can be a wee bit more flexible or creative about how you arrive at the solution for. And the last ones are really all around people and about people driving the sustainability agenda forward. I think a challenge for sustainability often is that people see it's important and not urgent. And the problem is that that could still be the position in 5 years' time. So it's on us as a team to drive forward the urgency. The senior engagement has been absolutely critical to us as well. And also the multi-channel engagement, because trying to reach everybody across an international organisation is quite difficult. So you have to throw out a lot of hooks, a lot of ways of approaching people to get people to come on side. And that's what the team have done so well. And this team, there's a team of 7. There's 7 of us in the sustainability team. And they're a fantastic team. They're experts, they're curious, they're collaborative. There's only so much a small team can do. And what they've done is their impact and their voice through engagement is amplified because they've sent out those hooks and they've got the collaboration of people across the business. They've got the engagement. People want to be involved. People want to give more, whether it's local events or getting involved in driving our strategy forward. And that kind of strength and movement that we've got from engaging people all across the organisation is what has driven our sustainability agenda forward. And just to finish, I would say that where we are now, all of these things considered, I'm really positive about where sustainability sits within Edrington at the moment. I'm really confident for what we can achieve in the future. Thank you.